Microphone. Okay. Yep. Well, I've really got to go. So let's see if I can get this video done before I soil my trousers.
Welcome to Tune Fever, baby.
Welcome back to another episode in our metal series. Today, your father's favorite genre, thrash metal. So let's get started. All right. Well, here we have some distinctives. So I want to just tell you guys some things about what thrash metal kind of is before we get started into what my favorite stuff in thrash is, the recommendations. So what thrash metal is, it started in the mid 80s. It's where the classic heavy metal thing kind of became more influenced by the punk, particularly. Well, let's just talk about it. So first of all, we have tempo changes. One of my favorite parts of a lot of thrash songs. The song structures will be kind of written in such a way where they'll just play one part and then they'll come in at a whole different tempo. And so there's a lot of tempo changes between parts of thrash songs, which I really like. I also have here punk vocals. This is a really kind of obvious change whenever you listen to a lot of thrash. A change from the classic heavy metal to thrash. It's less of that high operatic type of style and more of that kind of aggressive and kind of saliva sounding, really spiteful, just aggressive and mad, angry type of vocal style. And I suppose next on the list we have chugs, which are so important in thrash. And what chugs basically are, or what I'm basically meaning by it when I'm saying it now, is the palm muted low string. Those chugs, chug, chug, chug. It's kind of an onomatopoeia. That's a really cool word, onomatopoeia, because it has 4 vowels in a row, fun fact. I can't think of any other word like that. So if you learn nothing else from this video. Next on the list, we have solos. Now in thrash, solos are really the hero. There are so many incredible guitar players in the world of thrash metal. And whenever you listen to a lot of thrash songs, I mean, pretty much all of them have like 5 different guitar solos in the song. Of course, I'm a little bit over exaggerating, but you catch my drift here. So another thing is the aggressive and sometimes political lyrics, and then also they sometimes also in their lyrics talk about metal itself, like the type of music. They just will sing songs about metal, like in Metallica's song Metal Militia, for example. There's plenty of that going on. But yeah, and I think the aggression and the politics and some of the lyrics, they're kind of a carryover from the punk thing. It's whereas heavy metal is a lot, you get kind of some mythical themes and sort of some carryover from prog. When it comes to thrash, things become a bit more hellish, or also like real life. And so that's kind of the lyric direction of thrash. And then also on the bottom, which is why I made your dad's favorite subgenre of metal joke, some is more commercial. So, because I mean, honestly, think about it. What dad do you know that didn't own the Black Album? And the Black Album's great, but still, it just went huge. Thrash really kind of brought metal into the mainstream, you could really say, particularly in the mid 80s. But so next up, we're going to get into the things that I would recommend you get into. And I know a lot of people already know thrash. So these picks, some of them are pretty obvious, especially for some classics, but because everybody knows about the big 4, of course, Metallica and Slayer and Anthrax and Megadeth. Everyone knows the big 4 in thrash. But yeah, so let's start getting into this list though. So we'll start off, with the classics category right here on the left. So if you look in the top left of our graphic here, um, Metallica Master of Puppets is the album that just popped up on the screen. This is the one that I'm going to recommend because I think this is Metallica's most varied album. And also, it's an incredibly classic thrash album. I mean, it's my favorite Metallica album as well. Of course, you could recommend a lot of Metallica albums to put in this classics spot here, but this is the one I'm choosing. But yeah, it's from like 1986 or something. I don't know, mid 80s. But yeah, I guess don't quote me on that. But it's wonderful. There's so many. Yeah, like I said, it's varied. There's a lot of different sounds that went into this. There's a lot of kind of like fun experimenting and just incredible guitar playing and mediocre drumming. Um, yeah, any drummers will kind of know what I mean. We make a lot of Lars Ulrich jokes. He's fine. He really is fine almost all of the time. But yeah, so I'm kind of kidding. But yeah, check out Master of Puppets if you don't know it. But I mean, I remember buying a Master of Puppets t-shirt at JCPenney once, so you probably do. But yeah, next on the list, we have my favorite Slayer album called Seasons in the Abyss. Maybe the more obvious choice would have been like Rain in Blood, but I chose this one, or you could also recommend like Divine Intervention, another great Slayer album. This Seasons in the Abyss happens to be my favorite one. To me, this album does the hell thing really, really interestingly. Kind of just dystopia with a song like War Ensemble, maybe. Its themes are really, really strong lyrics, and of course, Dave Lombardo on drums. Hugely impactful, influential drummer. So important. One of the best drummers in all of metal, most important drummers in all of metal. Yeah, huge deal. So you have to know Slayer if you're gonna get into metal. Slayer, yeah, they're just enormous. Just such an important band to know. But this is my favorite by them, so it's the one that I'm going to recommend in the classics category. But of course, also check out their other material. So my first in the favorites category is Morbid Saints album Spectrum of Death. Now this album, it's quite something. It the vocal style. I spoke earlier of that kind of salival thing, where it just sounds like wah, wah. It just sounds like they're kind of throwing up the whole time. That's the vocal style here, and it's amazing. It's just pulled off so well. Just sounds the most sinister. But this album is so thoroughly engaging and interesting. But yeah, it just sounds very sinister. But I absolutely love this album. The guitar playing on it is particularly of course, great riffs. Yeah, very, very in your face. Really like it. So check it out. And maybe I hope you know this one. But if you don't, absolutely listen to it. It's really, really cool. Next on the list, Suicidal Tendencies with their self-titled album called Suicidal Tendencies. This is about as punk as thrash ever got. Obviously, punk is a huge influence on the genre that became known as thrash. But Suicidal Tendencies, that's really about as punk as it got. Very political themes in their lyrics often. Yeah, this is like my favorite thrash album, I'm gonna say. I mean, the guitar solos are they're just bonkers as well as just that they play the guitar solos over the singing sometimes. So there'll just be vocals going on, and then there'll be guitar solos going on. It's a whole lot thrown at the wall. It's really Suicidal Tendencies is really, really a unique band. But yeah, I just think their uniqueness and their kind of rawness, and yeah, there's like a conviction here. They really have something that they'd like to say, and they do that here, or they're just yelling like at the start of the album, which I find really incredible. Seriously, it's just kind of incessant screaming, but I will never ever um, I'll never ever skip that part. I have to just listen to the whole album straight through. Yeah, it's probably my favorite thrash metal album. But yeah, very unique for the genre in that it's super duper punk, but it's absolutely thrash. It's absolutely metal. Next up, so let me move my little doodad here. Maybe to like here. Okay, this is Creator's album, Pleasure to Kill, first in the interesting category. So Creator is a German band, and there's several other German thrash bands that are cool, like Tankard or something. But yeah, the Creator, Pleasure to Kill, it's probably my favorite. The thing about whenever you listen to German thrash, it really was a movement, thrash in Germany, so that's worth checking out. There's several great thrash bands in Germany, and they all kind of have a different sound from like the North American thrash bands, and probably that sound is that well, how do I describe? It's probably I guess it's kind of baked into German thrash is just kind of a different level of aggression. So it's really, really raw stuff. And it just really sounds like they're kind of sweating a lot and putting a lot of work into it and really grinding whenever they're making music. But yeah, this album by Creator, it's really great. But yeah, you can definitely hear a lot of punk influence in it. It just feels like a very genuine personal statement. Lyrically, it's just very it's very, there's certainly some politics involved and some opinions getting thrown around. It's a fun one. Absolutely check it out. Next up, Death Angel, the Ultra Violence. Now, this album is from 1987, and this album is a bit looser than most thrash. It's still very chuggy, but there's a certain production quality about it that makes it kind of unique. And it's definitely full speed, very, very full speed. But yeah, it kind of feels a bit looser, a bit more sloppy, but it's also super duper chuggy. And I mean, they're kind of like super duper thrashy. That's just like an adjective that you could use to describe their sound. But I definitely highly recommend it. The album's really great, and they have some other great albums that I like as well. And they also have a lot of more recent material, some of which I don't know. But what I've heard of it sounds pretty good too. So Death Angel, good band to get into. Of course, there's a lot of thrash. There are so many thrash bands, and even today, there's so many thrash bands. So this is quite something to kind of look into, thrash. It's kind of a place where a lot of people start getting into metal as well, and I think that's probably true for me. Let's see. I mean, the first time I heard Metallica was probably the song "One" on Guitar Hero 3 or something. And I remember like in 6th grade, I kind of had two favorite bands, and that was Metallica and like Blink-182, I think. Probably 6th grade was that time period. But I definitely remember a time where the two were my favorite bands. I think it was 6th grade. But yeah, here is my list of 6 classics, favorites, and interesting. Check them out. This music is not to be looked at, but to be heard. Although these are great covers. I do like just looking at them. So next, I just spelled out all the titles so that you can look all this stuff up if you want to listen to it. But yeah, so that is pretty much the video. Oh, what's this? Self-destruct button. What do you think that does? Oh, bruh. Here we go. So yeah, guys, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. You know, especially if you want to deploy and get these dub skis. So also, by the way, I'm recording this on the toilet right now. So